So, what happens when you mix blues and metal? You get the best music in the world. Now, all things aside, those are my two favorite genres. What'd you just call me gazoon type, boy? Well, so anyways, I'm sorry. Metal and blues. Now, to make it, what would that be, blues or metal? I don't know. Bad jokes all around. It's the coffee talking. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take what, you might hear in a blues progression, an E, a G, an A, a D, 1, 4, 5 with a little voodoo in there, right? And we're just going to add a lot of distortion and some pinch harmonics and all that good stuff and make it kind of more metal. It's happy place. So click the links below. Marty's got some awesome DVDs and songs, and go to his other channels, Guitarjamz, the Martyzsongs, awesome stuff. Marty teaches me all the time, and I'm just always like, dude, what was that? Come on, you're making me look bad. But anyways, so avail yourself of that info. It's just, I think there's like 1,000 videos. I mean, you cannot go wrong. Awesome, awesome stuff. He blows my mind all the time. So anyways, let's zoom in and get to this. Alright, so I got my trusty divided by 13 here, my BTR. I got a little gain on it. Just enough. And then I have this Wampler Pinnacle pedal. Right, to add it, the gain over the top. So all I'm doing is, a typical... Your typical E, G, A, D, and just mixing them up more in a rock context, but it's still got a blues bass. But then what I'm going to do is, instead of just playing, a nice G, I'm going to throw in different things, like I'm going to hint at the G, right, by pulling down this G notes, and then you playing right out of the pentatonic scale, right? So also A, I'm going to do an A that way. I'm going to do a G. I like to keep the middle finger so you get a nice big kind of spooky sounding D chord. Right? I'm also going to use, instead of the full bar chord, power chord, a lot of times in metal, they'll just use the root in the fifth, but like the fifth on top. Right? And it gets this really aggressive sounding chord. You're not so... Takes all those happy notes out of there and just makes you sound angry and frustrated, which is great in metal. So those kind of licks in there too. So then I'm going to add a lot of heavy palm muting, and I'm not going to concentrate all on downstrokes, right? A lot of times people just do that. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll hit the chord on an upstroke, right? You're basically hitting the two strings at the same time, but in reality you are striking the higher string first on an upstroke, so it gives it a little bit different sound. I've gone over this before, but one of the first people I really saw do this a lot was Eddie Van Halen, and if you guys haven't ever checked out him as a rhythm player, one of the best that there is. but all sorts of, you know, strumming the chords slow, you know, the upstrokes, you know, which was taken further down the road, like Pantera and all these guys, you know. Awesome stuff, right? So what we're gonna do is go. So what I'm doing is I'm hitting just the two strings, the A and the D. And then I'm catching it on an upstroke, the same two strings. Now this is where the palm muting and this hand comes into play. If you notice, I'm not doing a full E chord like this. My first finger is across the A and the D second fret, but then it's draped across the rest of the strings below that to mute them out. So even if I did hit them, it's not going to ring out, right? So I'm going down, up, 1, 2, 3, up, right? And in between those ups, I do a mute. So it's... And that's about 27 times in between those, right? So we'll break it down really slow so you can hear the 17 different times I do that. What's that, about 12 times, right? I don't know how many times it is, just count. Here we go. Right, you can do that. About that many times. Now instead of doing the mute on the next time around, so we're like on our fourth time, right? We're in the song, people are like, all right, this sounds cool, I'm ready for a new chord. I'm gonna go to a G. It's another one of those chords where I don't want it to sound, you know, too traditional, so I've got my second finger on the third fret. It is barred across the A string, and then I've got my pinky and my ring finger on the third fret of the B and the E. Right, I'm muting out that A with this finger. And then just go to a traditional sounding A, but I'm only concentrating on the A, the D, and the G. Now you can go back and hint at that G, right? What I just did there was an artificial harmonic. You do that by basically hitting the skin of your thumb and the pick at the same time. Right, so we got G, A, G, D, back into that. So what I basically did there is now I'm going up and I'm doing that A chord. So and then what I did was I just took the 7th fret of the A and the D. Now never underestimate the power of vibrato, right? It just makes things sound that much more in your face, and I'm gonna, you know, leave you a black eye by the time we're done, right? And then we got... So again, making sure I'm only hitting those two strings. And then what I did was I took a different form of a D chord, right? We have this, and then we have this, right? This is also a D chord. So what I did was, right, that's the C shape of a D chord. So what I did is I took my ring finger, put it on the 5th fret of the A string, middle fingers on the D string, 4th, and then I left the open G, and then I put my first finger onto the B string, 3rd fret. So it looks exactly like a C chord. I just move it up to the D position. And I apply heavy palm muting. And then when I get down to the B, I let the B, G, and D ring open on the way back up. So we got... Right? Now you can always throw in those different pentatonic, runs like we've showed you before. Right? That's just basically outlining that G chord, but I'm leaving the bottom open, bottom string open. So we basically have the 3rd of the G in there, right? But it sounds a little bit more minor when you leave that E in there. Whoa! I'm trying to see what I'm doing in the monitor here, and I grabbed the wrong fret. Right, so experiment with that. Remember, taking half of the chord, maybe trying different versions of the chord. Right, we have the D up here. Letting some of those strings ring open. You can do the... that right there is cool sound too. So what I'm doing there is I'm just leaving the bottom of these chords open. This is a D, right? The power chord version. So we're on the 5th fret, 7th fret, and 7th fret of the D and the G. And then I leave the B and the E open. I do the exact same thing when I go up to the A, same frets, but now I'm adding the 3rd, right? So it's a major chord, but I'm leaving the bottom open. Kind of. All right, you may have heard that song before, right? So leaving that bottom open, and then going back to that heavy palm. Right? And then in between, instead of going to some of those chords, go up one of the scales, like the 3rd position. Love that in the metal context. You can really imply a lot of the chords through single notes. Right? That could be our E, our A, Right? So really mess around with that. Now it helps obviously to have boatloads of gain, and there's lots of great gain pedals out there. Love this Pinnacle pedal. Boss, Digitech, all these companies. There's tons of people that make great overdrives out there or distortion pedals. But to get a really good sound like that, it often helps to have a little bit of gain on your amp already, and then the distortion or overdrive or whatever just kicks it into the stratosphere to get a nice thick, Right? You can get that real thick metal sounding distortion a la 80s, right? So give that a shot, mess around, you know, make your blues progressions. You know, we've countrified, we've bluesified, now we've metalified all of our blues progressions, and those are different ways you can do it. Many genres of music have been spawned out of mixing two things together. You know, a lot of the stuff I do comes from more of a really liking country. So, you know, Zakk Wylde, all these guys, they mix country and metal and blues together for that matter and get a really awesome sound. So I guess my point by saying that is study all sorts of kinds of music. Don't limit yourself as a player to one specific type of music. Get a bunch of different ideas from a bunch of different players and have fun with it. I find the most progress you'll make as a musician, and I see this in all sorts of people, is when you let go of what you call the music that you listen to. I'm a metal, or I'm a blues, or I'm a whatever. As soon as that drops and you open yourself to listening to tons of different stuff, even different instruments, horns, violins, mandolins. I mean, Chris Steele, if you've never heard that guy play mandolin, yeah, he's basically Yngwie on the mandolin, and it'll blow your mind. The phrasing that he has, right? He's in a band called Punch Brothers. But go check out that stuff. It's amazing. And it'll really help your guitar playing. And always, always turn up the gain, man. All right, catch you next time.